good to see everybody. And I'll start by commenting on how great it is to have signing day on the middle of a Wednesday practice, and to be out on the practice field this morning as we receive the confirmation of our 14 signees. Like every coach in America, we're happy with the class that we signed. But these guys in particular, for us and how they fit us at Duke, we knew this would be a small class this year because of our scholarship numbers. We just didn't have that many to give out this year. Also, partly because we signed such a large class last year, which if we had to do it again, we thought that was the right play. Got to get those guys on our campus, get them with feeling, start developing them. And so with this class, it was a little bit more in terms of really trying to pick out certain things that we were looking for up and down the depth chart, and we feel good about who we signed, not just in terms of their playing ability, but how they'll fit in with our culture and who they are as people and families. And on a day like today, as a head football coach, it's always cool to welcome new families into your family, but it's also a day of gratitude for whether it's the coaching staff, John Garrett and his personnel staff, um, you know, the recruiting staff, but also it goes, I mean, the city of Durham, the restaurants we go to, the hotels, people on campus. There's so many people have a hand in bringing these, creating a positive experience when the recruits visit our current players are in the middle of that. And that was a neat message to the players today, telling them that today was signing day and at the end of our Wednesday practice and to be able to remind them, hey, where was, think about your signing day and especially our seniors, what the Duke football brand was when they signed 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And the fact that this signing class, these high school seniors, all 4 years that they've been in high school, that the Duke football brand is attached to winning and now attached to playing for championships and the pride they have today at their high school signing for a team playing for a championship. We've a lot of guys in the class that are playing for state championships this weekend. So just again, a lot of good momentum for the program, which is kind of where we're at. And a lot of these guys will be coming in as mid-years, which is another, great boost, to our roster and to get the development going. So with that, we'll do questions either about signing day or about this weekend or life itself. Anything. Go ahead.
Reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please use the raise hand function. Connor will kick it off with you.
Manny, I don't have a question about life itself.
Thank God.
When you talk about having a signing day in the middle of getting ready for an ACC championship, what's the response been of this class in what they've been communicating with you just in the last few days of their excitement to be joining a program that is on the stage it is on Saturday night?
They're really excited, because the most important thing in recruiting is you tell them a thing's going to happen before it happens, and then when they see it happen, they know that you're not just, a used car salesman just trying to make some stuff up. And so, when you talk about, things like Duke, competing for championships and then to have the opportunity to do it, they see what it's all about. So, I mean, the text messages from this class started coming in on Saturday night, not just after our victory, but certainly when, we found out that we were going to Charlotte. So, again, those guys have immense pride and now they want to come and continue and build off of what this senior class has laid as a very successful foundation.
Caleb, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you just mentioned the senior class. How much of that were you able to pitch to these recruits as you were working to try to get them to sign and just kind of talk about the legacy that these seniors have built a little bit further?
Yeah, well, they recognize it. I mean, they've seen it, and those seniors we're talking about, those guys do a great job in recruiting as well, which sometimes older guys in a program don't. But those, I've said it back when we were in Charlotte in the kickoff meetings, those guys are our culture drivers. I mean, because they're the ones who have been through either 2 or 3 head coaching regimes, and they're the ones that really, they changed the program, and it's really important to them that the program maintains and continues to grow when they leave. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
Aaron, go ahead.
Hey, man, we saw you last night at Cameron. The playoff rankings came out right before tip-off. James Madison popped in. You guys aren't listed right now. I'm curious if you got a chance to – did you get a chance to watch them before? I know there was a lot going on last night. Did you have a reaction? I know you sort of weighed in on this Sunday about the difference of scheduling and so forth, but did you have any thoughts about what came out last night?
They'll release new ones on Sunday, right? That's those are the only ones that count. They've been releasing these things for 4 or 5 weeks, and it's only for TV, right? There's no other. It's like the NFL releasing their playoff grid. Nobody would even pay attention to it because they know it's not set until after the last week of the season. So that's kind of how I feel. We have a chance to beat Virginia. So it seems like that'd be a really quality win. We know that's really hard to do because we played them in person and we know how good they are. So that's really all we're worried about right now. But the Atlantic Coast Conference champion is going to be in the playoff. I feel very confident about that.
Pat, go ahead.
Hey Manny, you talked about the smaller class and how it related to last year's big freshman class. How does it also relate to who you think you're going to be able to retain as far as like guys that would maybe leave in the transfer portal? And then if you're able to comment at all about, where Darian Mensah is at with his future with Duke as well.
Pat, that's the hardest thing for any coach to figure out because you put your class together based off of what you're losing and what you want to bring in with a new freshman class. But there's not a coach in America right now that can say all my guys are coming back because you really don't know, right? Our guys expect to be back. You know what I mean? I know Darian wants to be back. We expect him to be back. He expects to be back. So, but that's just the chaos of what we live in until the portal shuts on January, whatever date. It used to be you had to wait to find out that your juniors wanted to declare early for the draft. And you wouldn't know about those guys until, mid-January, whatever the deadline was. And now it's the portal window. So it just creates such a, and this is why the calendar, which I know everybody talks about, but we made it better, but it's still not where as good as it can be because, in theory, you could have 10 guys leave your team on the last day of the January portal. And like for us here at Duke, our spring semester's already started and we can't get a guy admitted. So we would only be able to get guys that want to come in the summertime. If they wanted to come in the spring, they would have already picked another school. So there's still an uneven playing field because we forget at times we are an academic endeavor, right? College football, and we have an academic calendar that because our sport used to be a 1-semester sport, it's turned into a 2-semester sport. So these are the things that we've got to fix going forward. But if I told you, who for sure, we would bring back, I can't say that for sure. I do know this, our record on retention last year was pretty good. And we'll do everything in our power to make sure it's equally as good this year.
And if I could just follow up to ask a little bit about you, I don't mean to make a headline out of nothing, but you're obviously doing a great job at Duke, and with that comes there's a lot of openings out there. And I was a little surprised we haven't really heard your name floated, just given how good of a job you've done here. Has there been interest that you've pushed away? Has there not been interest? Obviously, you're only going to say what you're comfortable saying, but I'm just curious.
I'm just coaching Duke, man. I don't know any interest. It must not be as good a job as you say it is. So,
Chip, go ahead.
Yeah, Manny, that was kind of the question I was going to ask, but in a different way. In trying to line up this signing class, did you get questions with all these coaching changes going on? Did you get questions from recruits or their parents about whether you might, about your future?
There was like a week in October where that kind of came through, and it's kind of like I told you guys when I think we were at a press conference. I mean, like there's only two ways as a coach. Like they either think you're going to get fired and you're on the hot seat, or they think you're going to leave to some other job. So we're going to continue to do our job here with excellence at Duke, and people are going to always try to speculate on what that means going forward. And like I said, I'm really excited about Duke doing what it takes to build a perennial winner at the school, which I think as I've mentioned before, in college football, we found out that can happen at a school that's properly aligned.
Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, Manny, I wondered if you got any reaction to your comments on Sunday about expanding the playoff, adding the automatic qualifiers. I know that's idea has been floated out there by the Big Ten, and other leagues have shut that down. But I wondered if you got any reaction to that, and if you still feel as strongly about that's the way forward.
I don't know where I'd get reaction from because I've been coaching a team all week, but I guess you look, you can only fall on one or two sides, right? I like to try to draw a line. You're either on a line that you want college football decided by committees that we can yell and scream at forever, or you want it as much as possible divided on the field. And, nobody stopped and paused when we made conferences grow so large that everybody can't even, not only can everybody not play everybody, you could have two teams in a conference and have no common opponents, right? So there's really no way to settle now. Forget about a national champion. There's really almost no way to guarantee you can decide who a conference champion is. And so the only way to solve that is you're either going to have little conference mini playoffs to determine conference champions, or you're just going to have to explain the playoffs so much that the conference championship really becomes a moot point, and you try to get in as many deserving teams as you think, which still is going to make it a committee, but at least there's so many that we're screaming at who's number 24 versus 25 or 33 instead of 32. I mean, look at basketball. Basketball is expanded their playoff. The NFL has expanded their playoff through time. Remember baseball when it was only two, the NL versus the AL in the World Series, and then the division winners. I mean, the playoffs don't contract. They only expand. It's just a matter of time. Again, what we do in college football is we fuss over what the perfect model is instead of just trying to make it better. I do think this is better than what it was when teams were locked into bowls, when I was growing up, but it can be so much better because this thing turning into a yelling and screaming contest of who deserves to be in there is ridiculous.
Caleb, did you have another one?
I do. Coach, getting back to the signing class just a little bit, can you just give us a little bit of a scouting report on maybe some of the position groups you're bringing in? What excites you about them, and then any players you think might be, contributors from day one next season?
Oh, it'd be hard to get into the day one contributor, but I mean, obviously, you always start with a quarterback. Terry Walker, we feel, has got loads of potential, you know what I mean, and can really, the things that we want to do on offense that we've seen Darian do at a high level this year, that he can absolutely do that. Signing two tailbacks was a really important deal for us because, we expect to be thin at that position next year, and that is a position like what Nate Shepard has done this year. That we do think there are guys that can continue to contribute early if they have to. And then just some of the other weapons, the two receivers we signed, Kayvon and Brody, bigger type bodies than what we had a year ago, but really we feel like we're really stocking ourselves with really talented young wide receivers, which again is very important if you look at again the idea of what our offense wants to be, of how we've played so far this season. And even Ben Mosley, a tight end, a very athletic. O-line, we oversigned at O-line last year because we had to, because we were so thin. And it's been great to get those guys to have a year with Feely and to get them developing. But to bring in Stover, a guy that we think can really jump into the two deep as a center for us right off the bat, hyper intelligent kid, just a great fit, and have a heck of a career playing, sort of quarterbacking our offensive line. On defense, this defense is always really going to start with what we have up front. To sign two defensive tackles, Kane and Chadwick, who we think are both really, really, again, our mold of agile, quick, twitchy guys that can make plays in the backfield. We're always going to have defensive ends that can get after the quarterback. We think we have another one this year in Ovina. And then it was going to be a very small class for what we signed at linebacker. We took 4 linebackers last year. So to get Colson Gatton 2 straight years of a top player out of Pittsburgh Central Catholic, it's a great deal for us. Known Colson for a long time and his family. And that's, all these families really fit well with us. Love the 2 safeties, in-state kids, both competing for state championships this weekend. And again, guys that we just think are our type of guys. So it's one of those deals where we just, again, without having the big numbers, we were able to really kind of pinpoint the skill sets and the personalities of how they'd fit even just into our culture. Look, every coach in the country is going to say they love what they signed, but we do love the guys that we signed and their parents. And we really think that these are guys that fit and want to be here for 4 years and continue the growth of winning that's going on here now.
Andrea, go ahead.
Manny, I have 2 for you. One is a follow-up. You said earlier the ACC champ is going to be in the playoff and you feel confident about that. There's a lot of people freaking out that might not happen, though. So what makes you feel confident?
Because, Andrea, as you know, I've just been around this game for a long time, and I think it's going to happen every year. I think the ACC champion is going to be in the playoff every year. I think regardless of result, on Saturday night, I think that the quality of wins that you would put together in this league And we've played 9 bowl teams this year. We beat four of the bowl teams in our league. No one in our league beat more than 4 bowl teams in our league. And then to be able to have if it was Russ to have a win against Virginia, that's a quality win that I don't think anybody else can match. Even the nature of, I talked about on Sunday, even the nature of our defeats and the amount of wins that those teams had. I mean, like I said, we scheduled tough this year. I think it's helped us grow. It's where we are. The ACC champs can be in. I think Miami should be in. I think that's the case as well. I think the ACC should have 2 teams in. And like I said, but right now it doesn't matter. We have to beat Virginia. That's all we're focused on.
And speaking of that, that's my other question. You said the other day that, Virginia really did a number of you guys on the line of scrimmage in your previous meeting. And I was just wondering if that was just a matter of them being more physical, if it was a scheme thing, and then how you go about trying to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it's probably always a little bit of all of above. And again, first thing I have to do is just give them credit. They just played a lot better than we did that night. They're really good on defense. So even when you're playing well, they're going to be hard to score against. The last really 6 weeks of the season, hardly anybody's gotten to 20 points on them. So it is a great challenge regardless. You do get to play somebody again. You get to do a rethink schematically. They have the same opportunity to do that. But our players, if just in conversation with them, they just felt like they were not at their best that night. Which we've got to coach them in such a way where they can be at their best. So again, you don't get too many mulligans in college football. So we're excited to get another crack at these guys who we have a ton of respect for.
Thanks, man.
All right, seeing no more questions, we will see you all in person in Charlotte. Reminder, Manny is going live with his press conference at 3:45 on Friday in Charlotte. And for those of you who are not there, we will talk to you post-game.
Thank you all.